Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Day 2 of the PQAO Fundamentals of Ambient Air Monitoring Training. We have a full session of presentations for today. So what I'll do is briefly just go over the topics that we covered yesterday, and then we'll move right into the presentations for today. But a few housekeeping things before we get going, that with the full schedule that we have today, we're not going to have a lot of time for questions. So if you do have any, please use the question cards. Drop those off in the back, and then we will either try to get them answered today if we can, or we'll have the presenter follow up with you with an answer on those. We will have evaluation forms that we pass out, so please fill those out. Give us your feedback so we know if there's anything that we can improve upon before we do our next session or in developing our future trainings. And last is certificates. We will have certificates available at the end of the last presentation on the back table, so stop by and pick up your certificate before leaving. In the topics that we covered yesterday included the PQAO structure and goals. We went into the key documents, laws, and regulations. And then we talked about network design and planning. And today what we're going to do is we're going to pick up with network design and planning again. We're going to have a presentation on an annual network plan from a district perspective. And from there we're going to move into a presentation on the importance of generating high-quality data. And from there we're going to transition into our station operation and setup presentations, which will take us through the rest of the day. So our first presenter will be Joel Cordes from the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District. Joel graduated from the University of Texas with a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering. He joined the Santa Barbara Air Pollution Control District in 1983, and he is currently the supervisor of the monitoring group. He oversees the network's 16 ambient air and meteorological monitoring stations, and these are operated by both the district, private, and ARB entities. The network covers a diverse range of topography, meteorology, emissions, and air quality challenges in the Santa Barbara County. Prior to joining the Air Pollution Control District, Joel worked in private industry designing source and ambient air monitoring instrumentation and systems. Please welcome Joel Cordes.
Well, good morning, class. So I'm here today to follow up with yesterday's presentations on a local district's perspective of the annual air network plan. So the first question is, why do we do the annual network plan? Well, it's required by the Code of Federal Regulations. We do it because we have to. We do it so we can fill in that checkbox. However, it can be a very useful document and tool. It goes beyond that checkbox. It's a technical document. It provides technical information to show compliance with siting and operational requirements. It provides technical details of where a site is located, what methods are being used, and the area of representation. It also provides the public with information. There are many different users of air quality data, and I will discuss some of these a little later. The document provides enough information to explain where, why, and how we monitor and a description of each site. I'll give you a little example of why this document can be helpful. Is we live up the coast from Los Angeles, and every time there's an article in the LA Times regarding near road pollution monitoring, we always get a lot of calls from local residents asking, do we monitor near roads? Why don't we? And so what I found is the document plan is a good tool to help explain why we do not monitor near these roadways in our county. But it also able to show them where we do monitor and why we have those monitors in those locations and why we don't have a monitor on their street corner. So Appendix D, Part 58, 40 CFR states that an ambient air monitoring network must be designed to meet 3 basic monitoring objectives. Each objective is important and must be considered individually, and the objectives also lay out the framework for all of the different users. First objective, and these are in no particular order of importance, is to provide air pollution data to the general public in a timely manner. This could be air quality maps, tables, newspapers, internet sites, weather forecasts, public advisories. So the next objective, support compliance with ambient air quality standards and emission strategy development. Some of the examples of this would be the NAAQS comparisons, development of attainment and maintenance plans, air quality models, trending, source-oriented monitoring. Last objective, support air pollution research studies. In our area, we have participated in a couple, the Children's Health Effects Study, SCOES, which is the Southern California Ozone Study. Since the objectives cover a diverse range, the network plan should explain the connection between the sites and the objectives. So the minimum monitoring requirements. The number of actual monitors specifically required by Appendix D are few compared with the number of monitors that are in operation in many areas. This doesn't mean that we can just go down and shut down these sites. These other sites are in place to support all of the objectives, such as reporting, forecasting, mapping air quality, or monitoring for long-term trends. In California, some sites are needed for state standards. Monitors are used to assist with compliance and support of public concerns regarding industry operations. So as an example, in our area, we have a lot of oil and gas activities and a lot of concerned citizens. So we have some sites that are specifically in place just to measure hydrogen sulfide or total reduced sulfur near these facilities. So the process for completing the network plan. It may seem like common sense, but sometimes it's good to state the obvious. So start early. It happens every year. You know it's going to happen every year. Start the plan early and allow time to procrastinate later. EPA develops a template and a checklist. Follow that checklist. Do it right the first time. If you put the effort up front, the following years will be easier. So set up a system to track changes throughout the year. These could be items like adding or removing monitors that have different methods, or keeping track of when flow audits and performance audits are performed. So it will help to update the tables easier later. EPA reviews the plans, so review their comments from the prior year and make sure you correct or answer their questions. Or as I like to say, keep EPA happy. Be aware when new or revised monitoring regulations are published. They will need to be addressed in the plan. Most recently, we had like the lead and near road monitoring requirements. And even though you may not be required to monitor those in your area, they need to be addressed in the plan. So most of the smaller districts are part of the state PQAO, so coordination with the ARB is important. One of the bigger tasks of preparing an annual network plan is updating the station tables. ARB performance audits are a good time to verify this information from year to year. Work with them when they do their site surveys and make sure your data agrees with theirs. The station detail tables are the bulk of the technical specifications. These tables document probe siting criteria. Trees, exhaust flues, roads, they all influence the data. The type of instrument or probe material and length can also be an indication of the data quality. These are all specified in the detailed tables. The tables also documents quality measures. Did you have the required number of flow audits or performance audits? How often are the QC checks performed? Some things do not change very often: the address, GIS coordinates, probe height, or material. However, some things do change and will need to be updated or verified every year. Populations grow, traffic increases, trees grow and block the probe. New buildings are built which have exhaust flues near the site. You just don't assume that they're the same from year to year. System modification. Part of the network plan is to evaluate your network needs. Proposals and plans to remove, relocate, or add monitors within the next 18 months must be included in the plan. Inclusion of the information does not mean that you have to take action. It also does not mean that you have EPA's approval to remove or relocate a monitor. You still have to prepare and submit a request to EPA and seek approval to make the system modification. Consult with the EPA when planning or making a change. They can be helpful in deciding what will need to be changed. Once you have approval, the documentation for the approval needs to be included in your next year's plan. So, public inspection and comment. The network plan is required to be open to public inspection for 30 days. How you provide this public inspection period was left open in the rule to allow each agency to implement their own method to meet their needs. When submitting your plan, you need to include the method which was used to provide this public comment period. Comments received should be included in the plan, as well as the responses to these comments. So how an agency presents their network plan for public inspection depends on the needs of that agency. Simplest method would be to post a public notice in a local newspaper or on an agency's website. Other methods be to post copies at libraries, public buildings. You can send out a notice on a mailing list. Some districts may opt for holding public workshops, present it to agencies' board of directors. There's not one right or wrong method. You won't find me tweeting about our hashtag network plan, but maybe it is a method for your agency. All right, so network assessment. Every 5 years, we're required to submit a network assessment. So this is an in-depth look at our networks to determine if we are meeting the monitoring objectives. The first assessment was required back in 2010. Add 5 years, that means the next one is due July 1st, 2015. Although we have all prepared one assessment, we can learn from our mistakes of putting the first assessment together, so this one will still require some effort to complete. So one thing to remember is the assessment does not replace the network plan. Both will be needed to be submitted and completed. The objectives of the network assessment. Populations change, buildings and roads are built, industry changes. I think we heard this from yesterday, so it's a repeating refrain. The network assessment is a chance to find the answers to some of these questions. Does the network meet the monitoring objectives? Are new sites needed? Can existing sites be terminated or relocated? Can new technologies be incorporated into the network? So if your objective is to determine compliance with the NACS, FRM, or FEM monitor would be required. However, if the objective is to report AQI, then a non-FEM or portable monitor may be used. Recently, there has been a lot of interest and discussion about new sensor technologies and citizen monitoring, where people are starting to put monitors in their own backyard. So maybe there is a place in the network for these. So in conclusion, the network plan is a balance between technical documentation and public information. A well-written plan can help keep the public informed. Keep track and follow EPA's checklist when updating your plan. Choose the best method of public inspection for your agency, and start early because the network assessment will be due in 1 year. So that concludes my presentation. Any questions? Excellent.